All right, what's going on? I am currently doing a video podcast about my organization, the Coalition on Homelessness. So just wanted to, dive right in. I'm excited for this, and I got an interview going with Kima in a little bit, and yeah, let's see how it goes. So um, I'll start with the description of my organization. So the community organization I'll be discussing in this podcast is, my current organization, the Coalition on Homelessness, also known as the COHSF, located at 280 Turk Street in the Tenderloin in San Francisco. It's a great location. And the coalition is an organizing group that focuses on the community-based advocacy for the large homeless population in San Francisco. It is primarily a homeless-led community organization that engages in a lot of grassroots organizing and policy advocacy for positive change, as we had learned about in class, which is really great. I've done a lot of the grassroots, some of the grassroots organizing myself with some of the outreach, and it was great. So it was great. It was a great introduction for me. And the base of the coalition consists of, organizers, service providers, community members, and volunteers who work with the homeless populations across San Francisco. And additionally, the base also includes people currently experiencing homelessness and also former homeless individuals who really play a central role in the leadership and organizing efforts of the coalition. And as well, the COHSF advocates for permanent housing solutions, the expanded social services for these people, and the protection of civil and human rights of homeless people in the city. And, they obviously oppose the criminalization of homelessness and really push for policy changes at the city and county level that prioritize, housing, dignity, and systemic reform for people experiencing homelessness. So yeah, it's a great organization. I've been having fun with it so far. Um, it's really impactful work, and it's really been showing me the importance of organizing because it's my first introduction into doing that, and I've loved it so far. And I really like the outreach. The outreach is really dope. Talking to people. But I'm gonna get into that a little later when for the third part of this podcast. So I'm gonna just dive into the history and background just to give a little context. So the Coalition on Homelessness was founded in 1987 in San Francisco, and it was created during a period of increasing rates of homelessness and the reduction of social services due to economic reasons in the 1980s. And this was significantly because of the federal cuts to welfare and housing assistance under the Reagan administration, uh, significantly reducing support for low-income people across the U.S. and in many cities, especially San Francisco. And because of that, the homelessness rapidly increased as the affordable housing vanished, and that safety net government programs that were provided were really weakened. So because of that, COHSF began as a collaboration between actually, homeless people themselves and community activists, which I think is really dope. And really, which also included service providers and advocates who were just fed up with the lack of response to homelessness. And this grassroots origin highlighted how the people most affected by homelessness were the central point in shaping the organization's direction from the very start, which is really cool. And I'm glad to be a part of because that history alone, me looking this up and learning about it was really dope for me. And the ultimate mission of my organization is to organize homeless people and frontline service workers to create permanent solutions to homelessness and to protect the human rights of people forced to live on the streets, which the city of San Francisco constantly choose to overlook. As we see in videos, they do the street sweeps. They're just moving people rather than, and to make the city look good for media rather than, actually solving the issue. Um, and similarly, our mission is to transform how society responds to homelessness by moving from, the heartless temporary fixes for homelessness to permanent housing solutions and systemic change for these people. All right, let's go into the detailed profile. And I'm going to be shortly after this clip, I'm going to be going into an interview with Kima to really, share her thoughts about, what it's like. working with the coalition and, just some of her duties and some important information we should know about the coalition. So, um, from my understanding of how my organization conducts its work, we use a lot of street outreach, which is mainly the main component that I'm in. I've done a lot of street outreach for the coalition, and it when you're combating an issue like homelessness, street outreach is really one of the most important ways to ensure that these people are um, being educated on services that we can provide for them. Because a lot of these people, sometimes they don't own phones. Sometimes, you're not as aware when you're on the street. So it's very important to inform these people by going up to them on the street and informing them, which is a lot of what I do with these. Can you even see it? I'll provide a picture. It's a pamphlet. Oh, okay, with these pamphlets right here. Um, but I'm gonna go into this a little bit later in this podcast, but yeah, that's one important thing to do. So yeah, we use street outreach, a lot of one-on-one conversations, and peer networks among homeless communities. As well as Kima talked about in the presentation we had in class, we also run the Street Sweep newspaper, which gives the vendors, which are people experiencing homelessness, it kind of gives them a platform and allows them to earn some money. All the profits go completely to them, and yeah, just become a community leader, like become someone who is making a difference in their community. And additionally, we also conduct meetings and forums um, sorry, we conduct meetings and forums. We also do community meetings, town halls, and workshops that really allow the homeless community, to voice any concerns, learn about different policies, and learn about our plans of action. So that's really dope. And to really add to that point, we also conduct advocacy campaigns that focus on policy advocacy, public demonstrations, and lobbying at the city and county levels to influence legislation and protect the civil rights of the homeless population in the city. Yeah, so for this next component, we're going to be going into the interview with Kima, and that's happening now. All right, next we're moving to the next section of the podcast. We have Kima here, who is a human rights and housing justice organizer. I've met Kima through the RV outreach, and yeah, I just really wanted to, interview Kima and ask about, you know, her views of the organization. So, the first question I wanted to ask you was, what are the different levels, duties, and functions within the COH that really form the foundation of the organization?
Sure. So we have two different departments or programs. The first being our housing justice department, and that department focuses on the equality and accessible housing for all. And some of the things that we focus on there are, shelter grievances, making sure that people living in SROs or shelters are living in safe conditions. We also advocate for things like the coordinated entry system, which assesses the vulnerability of folks and determines their ability to get housing or shelter. So just making sure that the systems and policies that are in place are able to create fair and accessible housing for all, including families. And a lot of some of the duties that we have there are going out and doing outreach to SROs and talking to families there, seeing if there's any complaints that they have about their living conditions, and helping them to rectify them through the Department of Housing. And then we also have our work group, which is a meeting that is made up of community members. And that is where we get some feedback from them about what is important to them. And that helps us to build our campaigns and make sure that we are doing work that is relatable to the issues people are having.
Hmm.
And it also brings them into our campaigns and makes them active members within their own advocacy. And then we also have our human rights department.
Hmm.
And on that side, we're more tackling the criminalization of homelessness. So all of the policies that make it difficult for people or punish people for just trying to survive while living on the streets. And so we have a work group there that also is made up of members, but we also do outreach and campaigns on that side as well. Yeah,
Great. Wow.
that's your
That's a lot of
question.
I did not know that there was so
Mhm.
that's pretty yeah, that's pretty wow. So I'd say yeah, so like what does a routine day look like for members then who are either in each department or is it kind of like the same thing since it's like do people kind of do both with it or do people kind of like choose where they want to do focus?
I'm the only person that does both. I support
Yeah.
both organizations, so my day is pretty full.
Yeah.
Usually my entire day, which encompasses both human justice and human rights
Mhm.
activities. First of all, I look at my schedule when I get there because it's pretty busy, so I make sure I
Yeah,
what
it
my
sounds like a lot.
priorities are. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, on Tuesdays I have the housing justice meeting,
Mhm.
which is the work group member meeting. And then on Wednesdays I have the human rights meeting, which is our work group members as well. Um, on Tuesdays, I do regular outreach to harm reduction drop-in centers, and that's work that's done on our human rights side in around our sweeps campaign, which is teaching folks that are living on the streets what property destruction looks like when the city sweeps their encampment, and kind of talking to people about their rights. And then I also do outreach to SROs, just talking to families there. And then a lot of my day works around meetings with coalitions because we do partner with coalitions to kind of like uplift and strengthen their voices around certain things. So I'm a part of several coalitions, including Treatment on Demand, which is centered around harm reduction and substance use.
Mhm.
So a lot of the coalitions I'm in are based around all the other social justice issues that impact unhoused people. Um, and then I kind of just do like things that actually a lot of administrative things like building agendas
Yeah.
and things like that. There's a lot of the work that goes into building our campaigns. But also following up with any phone calls I have. I think that being consistent with unhoused folks, letting them
Mhm.
know we're there, letting them know we have their back and we're working on their issues is
Mhm.
really important. So I also do spend a lot of time on the phone, following up with people, letting them
Mhm.
know what we can do or seeing where they're at, and just saying hi.
Yeah. Wow, you have a big I thought I had a busy schedule. You have a busy
Yeah.
schedule. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's yeah. It's important work though. Kudos to you though. Kudos to you. That's amazing. Um, so yeah, what I've been doing with the coalition so far has been a lot of outreach for the RV ban. So I was gonna ask is there like another campaign that is the focus right now? And if so, then how is it being run so far? Um, or is the RV ban still a big campaign that we're focusing on in the coalition?
Well, there's just a lot of things, especially policies that come
Yeah.
up, and sometimes we have to be reactionary. So
Yeah.
there's never ever just one campaign that is the focus. We actually
Yeah.
kind of work on things simultaneously.
Mhm.
So the RV ban campaign is still continuing. Right now, what we're doing is kind of just doing an education focus and keeping on top of things as implementation happens.
Mhm.
A lot of people are confused by the system and they don't know how it works. A lot of people didn't get a permit. A lot of people are older adults that don't even understand how to do it online. So, kind of taking all this feedback from community members and bringing it to the city so that they can evaluate their campaign, but also keep folks in mind and keep these things in mind when they're building their RV ban. We tried fighting it and that didn't work. So now it's just about protecting our folks.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, we're also working on our sweeps campaign. So we found that the city was not really upholding the policies and procedures that they said they would when in sweeping encampments.
Mhm.
And so we actually sued the city and won a settlement. And so now what we're doing is teaching community members about their rights, but also looking for any types of violations against people's rights when it comes to their property so that we can report it. So there's a lot of street outreach going on with that as well.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, but also on our housing justice side, we have a lot of campaigns. We're trying
Yeah.
to fix the coordinated entry system, making recommendations so that people are actually able to get housing and not sit in the wait list.
Hmm.
And also, what else are we working on? There's another thing. Some I can't remember.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I think from what I'm understanding, like a lot of specific tactics we use for these campaigns are a lot of, is it like outreach and advocacy for people who, don't really have a voice in the city?
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I understand that. And, is for the information we use for ammunition for the
Mhm.
campaign, how do we formulate these campaigns usually? Like, is it we just I believe you said, yeah, I think what is it? We hold the forums or the meetings for people to, voice concerns and stuff like that. But is
Mhm.
there any other ways that we're like, this is an issue, like, we need to do something about this?
Yeah, so with our RV campaign specifically, we
Yeah.
held community meetings on the Bay in the Bayview and in Lake Merced,
Mhm.
where members of the community can come in, that we can update them about what's going on, but also they can give us feedback about what's going on with them. So we bring them in that way. But also within our like work group meetings, that is where we build our campaign. So any work group meeting that is there, they can give us advice about what tactics to do or
Mhm.
where what areas they think are the most important that we should focus on. So we actually do physically bring our members into the building of the campaigns, and they're also present there if we do rallies or letter writing or anything like that. We also believe a lot in leadership development. So even with our RV band, we've identified people that we think are strong leaders,
Mhm.
and we have offered them a paid opportunity to help with outreach and help with the campaign as well.
Mhm.
Um, and it's important because they are not only part of the impacted community, but are able to, get some financial stability as well.
Yeah. Great. Great. Love that. Um, yeah, I just want to finish with two questions. I'm just going to ask you, why did you personally become involved with this organization? And, what does it truly mean to you?
So I'm currently studying for my MSW. I'm finishing my program in May. I'm really
Oh,
excited.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm required to do a practicum, like an internship. The
Mm,
first one I did was at a harm reduction therapy center. So a lot of my background is in harm reduction and
yeah.
substance use disorder.
Mm,
And I had to do a second one, and I wanted to do something new to
yeah.
kind of like, branch out on my skills and the areas that I focus on.
Mm,
And the woman who is the founder for Harm Reduction Therapy Center recommended me to the coalition. So I started there as an intern,
mm,
um, and then moved into becoming a full-time staff member in June.
mm,
Yeah, so my concentration for my degree is macro, which
mm,
means I focus on policy research, just kind of like the bigger uh, picture of things. And so I think that this is just perfect for that. It gives me a really big understanding of how policies impact folks,
mm.
um, but also kind of still gives me that like street level access to speaking to folks on the ground,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and making like systemic change. And that's
Mm.
really what I enjoy doing.
Wow, that's cool. That's good. I did not know that. Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah. So when are you done with that then? How much schooling do you have left?
I have one more semester. I graduate
Oh,
in
it's oh,
June.
you're right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you're right there.
exhausted. I'm so tired.
Yeah. No, I feel it. I'm just undergrad and I'm like, dang, but you got
uh,
a full schedule. So really kudos to you, honestly. Wow.
yeah, when are you done, actually?
As in regarding for school?
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm a kinesiology major right now.
Oh,
I'm a
cool.
transfer from community college. I came from Concord, DVC?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I came from Concord. I'm here. It's my first semester at SF State. It's going great so far. I'm doing pretty good. Um, it's a little different though because it's like my first time kind of being away from home. So
Oh,
I'm kind of learning how to like, structure my day while also
hmm.
getting lots of work done, while also doing what I want to do. And
Yeah.
then also like doing internships and volunteering. So it's a lot of juggling,
Yeah.
but it's been great so far, and I think it's a really, I love my degree. Like it's really fulfilling for me because I work at a rehab, not a rehab, rehabilitation exercise clinic for like older people or people suffering injuries.
Hmm.
And I hear their stories all the time. Like they tell me about like how, they've had injuries and very traumatic events, and just hearing being that voice, like, like or allowing them to tell me about, their days or just things in general really feels fulfilling because a lot of these people, they don't have anyone to talk to. So I like to just give my ear and really help these people out. So, I love my job. And it's only starting, so I think that's a good indicator that I chose something that I'm gonna enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm starting my journey. So I don't know. I'll see how it goes. I'll come back to you with that one,
That's the exciting part.
in a couple months.
That's the exciting part.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And then lastly, last question I ask for you is,
Mhm.
besides like the the full schedule, what's like some of the biggest challenges you found in working with the coalition so far?
Let's see. Hmm. I think let's see how to phrase this.
Mm,
Things can be a little disorganized sometimes.
mm,
Because we are so reactionary and
mm.
because things come out, it can sometimes it can feel a little like chaotic
Yeah.
a
Mm,
bit. And I've been finding that to be the biggest challenge is kind of like staying on track, realigning with our priorities.
mm,
And so we're working on putting systems in place that make sure that we are like always aligning to our mission, always coming back to our campaign and not letting other things fall apart.
mm,
But I've also found it challenging to just keep in touch with unhoused folks because, sometimes their phone is off, they
mm,
move around a lot, and it makes me like wonder where they are, and I get concerned.
mm.
So that's been a challenge as well. Um, but I think also the biggest challenge has just been like fighting against the city. They have more money than we do, they have more power than we do,
Yeah.
and that's been a challenge. But we just, we keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Gotta keep going. That's the one thing we will learn about in class is like, sometimes you feel like you're, fighting a losing battle, but
Yeah,
it's not losing, it's like you're still doing something for the community. Like it's better to do something than just sit there and
do
do
nothing. Yeah.
nothing. You know what I mean? So that's great. That's great. Thank you, Kima. I appreciate your time and conducting
Mhm.
this interview with me. And yeah, I hope you have a nice day, okay?
Thank you. This was a great conversation. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you. Kima gave us a great interview. And we're gonna move into the, assessment part of the podcast, with just personal thoughts about how, it's been for me in the organization. And just, relatively, it was I mean, I'm still gonna plan to continue to volunteer with the organization and possibly become a member because I think it's really fulfilling work and it makes me feel good that I'm making a difference in the community besides my own and hopefully when I become older as well and I go back to Vallejo I can try and help the situation over there as well because there needs to be a lot of work done in Vallejo specifically. But personal thoughts, I really loved doing the outreach for the RV ban. Going up to RVs around the Mission area. They gave me Mission by myself, which is fun. And it was a lot. I walked pretty fast. So I got a lot of stuff done. Um, and with this pamphlet I did right here. So it says navigating San Francisco's RV ban. And it also says permit program and as an RV resident. And basically, I would go up to the RV, knock on it, and be like, "Tutu, I am a neighbor. I'm here to help. I've had some, as I told you in office hours, uh, there were some situations that happened, but we're gonna overlook that because that's not the positive aspect of it. I'm focusing on the positive, and there was a lot of positive. And yeah, so we just said like how we checked eligibility. There's a lot of people who didn't have a lot of eligibility, and we just gave them like, this thing's annoying me. Yeah, just like QR codes and everything like that, like for how to obtain a permit and what a permit looks like. What a permit looks like, which is this right here. Oh, can you see it? Ooh, ooh. Right there. There you go. There you go. There you go. And yeah, I just explained to them, what happens if they're denied a permit, what they can do, what happens once they have a permit, and just, and we also told them about the vehicle buyback program if they were deciding that they didn't want to have a RV. And it was really fulfilling. A lot of these people, they didn't really have any knowledge about what was going on. A lot of people were very surprised about the RV ban. And it really just showed that there is an issue with communication between the city and these people. And, it's really just messed up that, these people are already don't have homes and they're being kicked out of a place that they finally can call home, which I thought was a big problem. And I, felt inclined to help with that. And regarding the organization, as Kima said in the interview, sometimes it felt a little disorganized, because there was just a lot of people, but, we made the best of our situation. And, sometimes as we said in class, you feel like you're fighting a losing battle, but at the same time, it's not really a losing battle because you're making a difference and you're trying, you know. So that was something that I really learned. And there's a really big impact on these people. I can see how, I've went to the office a couple of times. I can see how these people are actively trying to, you know, make situations better for people similarly like them. And it was great. It was great. It was really inspirational to see for me. And there's I think they have really good strengths with, how their outreach is and they're fighting a battle that's really, against the city that the city is against because they see homeless people as like pests, which is really messed up and I don't like that. So I really love how I'm part of an organization that can, do something about that. And yeah, overall it was great, great experience. I'm still going to be volunteering with them. Um, and I just wanted to thank you, Professor, for allowing me to know about this. Or I had no idea of this organization before this class, so I've learned a lot, and I've learned about my own strengths and weaknesses and things I can do for myself to you know become someone who is bigger, who plays a part in something bigger than themselves. So I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, that's pretty much this podcast. Sorry, it's a little bit longer. I know it's a podcast video, so it's kind of both. It's okay. So if it's a little longer, I do apologize. But we had a lot of great information and I had a great conversation with Kima. So yeah, that's my um podcast. Hope you enjoyed it and have a nice day.